to find out. This is for the items. Let's talk about the inventory. How do you want to manage the expiry dates on this kind of inventory? All of us, we have a storage room. And in the storage room, we don't even know what's inside, okay? So for us, it's easy. Quick inventory, boom, we have the list. No need to go here. No need to go around there. We have it. And we can work on a piece of paper. We can print it, okay? So this is the issue. We need to manage that. We need to track the sterilization. Let's go to the sterilization. Medical legally speaking, we have to use sterile instruments and sterilized items on patients. Okay? Everybody understands that. But now, when you have to do it, you have to prove that it's sterile. And that's where the game is. How do we prove that? So the proof of sterilization, we have audits every year in our company, and the auditor is coming, and he says, but do you have feedback from your clients? We say, yes, we have feedback. Good feedback? Yes, good feedback. Can you show me? And then we have to show the proof. We have to show them that we have a tracking on the feedback of the client. We have to show them that we have a tracking on the complaints. We have to show them that if we have a complaint, we have to show them what we did on the complaint. We have to show them the tracking, okay? And this is the same for what we will have to do if you don't do it today. So the first thing is, how can we prove that a sterilizer is working well? That's the first thing you put in the sterilizer. Is it working well? Maybe yes, maybe no. How do you know? How do you know? Tell me. You do? Some test?
Yeah, we have, of course. We have a program where we do the regular maintenance of our and checking of our.
Let's go through that. Okay. You have to make a test. And in most of big hospitals and things, in the morning, they make a test empty, and on this test you have what you've been doing, and this is a proof which is kept in a journal, okay? Which is interesting. But if it's working in the morning, does it mean that it's working in the afternoon? And that's another thing, okay? So to avoid this, what we do, we place a probe inside the sterilizer for every single cycle, okay? So every single cycle must be validated. This means also that you don't trust on the sterilizer measurement tool itself, but you have an extra instrument which is certified every year showing that it's working. Okay?
We put also the straps inside the phone.
Yeah.
The straps that changes.
Yeah. So either you have an insider, either you have an external. Okay. And it should be valid for every cycle of sterilization. This is number one. You provide that, perfect. You need to provide it. Now, the second is what cycle is the good cycle. You have several kinds of cycles. You have cycles of sterilization at 121 degrees, 134, 134 prion. What does that mean? You have different cycles. So it means that some cycles are sterilizing and some cycles are not sterilizing? A little. So let's go further. I make it simple. I'm not making something complicated. So you can have a cycle of 134 degrees for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, or you can have what we call the fast one, which is 121 degrees for 15 minutes, or you can have this one, which is 140 degrees for 18 minutes or more, and 3 bar. Okay, so now you have something else. Not only you have the temperature, the time, but you have the pressure, Okay? So these are three things. And these are in Class B sterilizer, which I hardly recommend you to use. So you have three things. You need to prove that you have the temperature, the time, and the pressure. And you need to prove something else. I will tell you after. You need to prove four things. So we highly recommend to go up to this, and this is what we call the prion cycle. Okay? If you sterilize at 121 for 15 minutes, the prion will still be there. But you know, the prion, we don't have a lot of prions in dental clinics. But it's recommended to do like this. What kind of tests should we use? You have basically two kinds of tests. The Bowdic, it's to test porous objects, and you have the helix system with the empty object. So you put that in the sterilizer, and when the color is changing, it means that it's sterile. Sterile based on the Bowdic system. The helix system is to check the things under a tube. So you have a tube like this. We put a marker here. Okay, we close that, we put it in the sterilizer, and we wait for that. When we open it, if the color of the helix piece of paper has been changed, this means that the sterilization went all along through this cylinder up to this, and it's validated. If a Bowdic is validated, it doesn't mean that the helix will be validated. If the helix is validated, by default, the Bowdic is validated. This is why we decided to go to an helix system. So we have an helix system here, and this helix system, we put it in every cycle of sterilization, and this helix system is including a battery and a captor, and it's capturing all the details of the sterilization. And then you put that on a stand, and you import that to your computer. Okay? So that's the helix. So I will recommend you to use the helix instead of the Bowdic, because this will show you exactly what you are doing and up high to the prion system. So how to identify sterile pouches? So on pouches in France, when you pack into a one pack like this, it's considered to be sterile for 30 days. When you do a double pouch, it's considered to be valid for 60 days.
What about 3 pouches?
Three pouches, it's sterile for maybe 1 minute. But why not? I mean, in some cases, you need something sterile immediately, and you do it. I mean, there is no. We have to wait on these things, and we have to wait this because after a research that I made on the literature on the different countries, this is true in France. It's not true here, and that's the issue. We have to adapt where we are. Anyway, whatever happens on all pouches, we should have a certain number of information. Who has been doing the cycle? Who is responsible for that? We need that for one reason. I come to that. So we have the operator. We have the cycle which is being used. We have the charge. We have the name of the charge. In this case, it's implant kit, 60 minutes, 60 days. You have the date, and we have the expiry date, and we have this or this, where you can scan all the information. Okay, so we need to have that. Most of the sterilizer, they include a printer and printing these QR codes. So you can check with your I mean, you don't need to come into this system if you already have a printer printing these kind of things with this. With the QR code. Yeah, because the QR code, inside this, you have all these things, okay? And even more than that, but you have to check what they put in the QR code.
But doctor, the one that you said, the box with the battery that included to your computer with this Alex,
Yeah.
what
It's HDTC. I go through that. It's not mandatory to use this system. You can use another system if you already have this. Huh? If you have this with all information, it's enough. So, alors, how to identify? We identify like this. How to track the expired pouches. So, me, I work 3 days a week on one dental chair. It's not an issue. We can open the drawers and check what we have, and we know and we see the expired date. But in a big clinic, I mean, it's more complicated to find out. So what we do here, we track with the QR code, and all the pouches are here, and after the expiry date, the background is changing. And automatically we know that this is not valid anymore. And then we will know that, and we know the location where it is, and we find it, and we remove the pouch, we make a second sterilization, and we put a label on that. Don't write on the label, on the pouch, because when you write on the pouch, you injure that, and it's not sterile anymore. So, you know, because people, they want to save money. I mean, it's expensive, a tag, huh?
The strips that you put inside the bottles.
I come to that. This is that. Thank you for the question. I have the answer. Okay, so we call that the type 4 strips. And the type 4 strips, they are changing color, okay, in between 121 to 134. So this means that this shows you what? That you've been increasing the temperature up to this temperature. And in most pouches also you have some tags. Okay, so you can put it inside or not, but the Minister of Health is asking, where are these things? Okay, so do you have these things? So you show them, I have these things. Does it prove that it's sterile? Absolutely not. It proves nothing. It proves that you've been increasing the temperature up to this temperature. Does it prove that? Remember, we have 4 things. The first thing is the time. Proving the time? No. Proving the temperature? Yes. Proving the pressure? No. And proving what? You need to prove, and you need to write, and the operator needs to do it, that the pouches are dry. If the pouches are not dry, they are wet, it is not sterile. And you have to start a second cycle. Okay? So that's, you have 4 things. If you don't do the 4 things, you're missing something. Okay? So this, and what do we do with that? You open the pouch, you have this piece of paper, you do the surgery, you do what you have to do. What do you do with that? You put it in the bin. Okay? And you lose all. And you lose all. That's the issue. Why do you have that? To prove that it's sterile. So not only it's not proving that it's sterile, but you throw it to the bin. So there is something wrong in that. Huh? So instead of this, we just mark, scan, and put it in the file. So we have the list of all this is scanned, nothing to write. We don't write that, and we click, and we put it in the items, and we put it in the pouches. So we have this, we have the stand, it's linked to the computer, and it's giving all the information, like you said, with the time, the cycle, all this, and when we open that, we need to tick that it was dry at the time we opened that. And then from that, we print on a demo printer, which is a printer like this, and you can print labels with that, okay? And with that, we print the labels. How many labels? Don't print the labels and put the labels before you sterilize, because they are going to become black, okay? So you make the sterilization, and after that you put that out, and then you put on the computer, and you decide to print how many labels. Let's say, for example, you have some basic kits, you have 5, and you have a surgical kit, you have 2, okay? So you print 5 labels basic kit and 2 labels surgical kit or implant kit or whatever. And then you have all this list, and you put that in, and you put it, and then you have two options. You can scan it, and then you go into the program to manage all the information. So basically, when you have your pouches, when you have your labels, what do you do with that? First option, you do nothing. You just store it, okay? And when you use it, you just scan what you've been using. And scan line by line, it will give you all what you've been using, and this is sterile, you can export, and this is the proof of sterilization in a good way. Second way, you have a big clinic. You have hundreds of items going around. You need to track the expiry date and all that. You scan, 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 scan all, and you know where it's stored, okay? And then you scan again when you use it, and you find it in the database, and you say that you've been using it, okay? This is for big clinics. I don't think that you need that systematically. You can start slowly, and you can go to the second one if you want. The expiry date. The expiry date. In France, I said to you 30 days, 60 days. Here, wrong. We went to a big hospital, I don't say the name, and we asked, do you have an expiry date on your pouches? No. So it doesn't expire? No, it expires in 1 year. 30 days in one country, 1 year in the other country. You have good chance not to have sterile instruments because of that when you are treated. So today you can decide to have no expiry date, which seems to be the case in big hospitals, or you can decide to put an expiry date based on what? Not on the sterilization process, because you are going to go into the prion and all that, you're going to do it in a good way. But then you are going to store the instruments. If you store the instruments in the operating room, like a dental clinic, you have a drawer with all the instruments, the length of the time of validity will be less than if you make a storage in a different place, separate from the operating room. Yeah. So outside of the operating room, it's lasting longer time than inside the operating room. Why? Because inside it's contaminated, or the dental clinic is contaminated. And when you put things in and out and in and out, you have these small sharp instruments like probes and so on, and they're going to make openings, and it's not sterile anymore. Okay? So because of that, me, today, with this control, what I do, I say 6 months, okay? And in some cases, I have things that I never use and it's separate, I put 1 year, okay? But this is personal, and I explain why, okay? So, but if I do that in France, I am guilty, okay? So, depends on the way you store the instruments, you will decide on the expiry dates of your instruments. Get it? Okay, so today, if a patient is suing you because he has an infection, and he's going to say, but this guy he did not use sterile instruments. So you go to the judge, and the judge is going to ask, okay, did you use sterile instruments? And you're going to say, yes, I've been using sterile instruments. I have a sterilizer, my assistant is doing that. Can you give me the proof? I have a sticker inside, okay? Where is the sticker? I've been throwing it away. So you've been destroying the proof. So that's the problem.
Have you had cases like this?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to prove. I mean, the judge, he knows nothing, the judge. He knows nothing about sterilization. So he's asking what? Do you have the proof that it's sterile? If you have the proof, I mean, it's finished. It's finished. If you don't have the proof, hey, then you're guilty.